Hello, this is Margaret Bryant, Sales Director from Orca Book Publishers. I'm joining you today from Takaranto, what is currently known as Toronto, the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, and Mississaugas of the Credit. Although I'm based in Takaranto, Orca Book Publishers is located within the traditional territories of the Lekwungen, Malahat, Pachida, Chianu, Tswiak, and Wasanich peoples. I know you're hearing me from Williamsport, and what I hear is a particularly beautiful part of the country. It's also the ancestral home of the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee, the Susquehannocks, and the Lenni Lenape, also known as the Delaware. I hope you'll join me in expressing gratitude for our opportunity to live, work, and create on this land. Starting with the board book, a little monster is hungry. What can they eat? A slice of pizza. But the monster is still hungry, so they gobble up the plate, the pizza box, the house, until the only thing left is the child reading the book. The monster eats the child, but follows with a series of funny, grossed-out sound effects, and then declares that it wasn't very good. A previous book for Elise Gravel, A Potato on a Bike, received a starred review from Kirkus, describing it as a read-aloud delight for tots and caregivers alike, lighthearted and wholly engaging nonsense of the first order. Also by Elise Gravel is I Am Scary and I'm the Boss. Owl doesn't know what tomorrow means. Mouse, hedgehog, and rabbit try to explain, but Owl still doesn't understand. When does tomorrow arrive? Does tomorrow begin in the middle of the night, at a certain time in the morning, or when you wake up? How can you tell it's tomorrow if it's already today when you get there? Forest animals try to understand the meaning of tomorrow by reflecting on what they did yesterday and today and staying up all night to watch for when tomorrow begins. This picture book, explores relative terms about time. Once the world went quiet and a puzzled little bird explored a city searching for a place to call home. From inside an apartment building, neighbors watch her, finding hope in her song and the continued rhythms of nature. This wordless picture book is a lyrical contemplation of our interconnectedness with the natural world. The author was inspired to write this story on a solitary walk during the pandemic. She is a successful author of many previous fiction and nonfiction titles, including Grandmother's School, Diwali Lights, Holy Colors, and My Heart Beats. Vincent has a house in his head, full of rooms and staircases and flashing lights and screens. He wishes it could just be like anyone else, but all he sees when he tries to focus is chaos. When he goes to the movies, everything other than the screen goes dark. Can he learn to shine the spotlight of his attention in the same way? This is an imaginative take on what it's like to have ADHD, like having a huge house in your head with all sorts of different rooms that change their location or distract you with their flashing lights, and the isolation it can cause, but also the creativity and resilience it can engender. This is Vig's first autobiographical book drawn from his own childhood, capturing what it was like to be a child who had not yet received his diagnosis of ADHD, but was trying to fit in with what the world expected of him. From one of our client publishers, Second Story Press, this is a picture book, Everyone is Welcome. A little girl hears that her grandma's friend was pushed on the way to the Asian market. Then she learns that Asian students at her brother's school are afraid to walk to class, and she realizes something is happening to her community. With her mom's support and the help of her friends, she sets out to do something kind. The fourth book in the fast-paced adventure series, the Sueno Bay Adventures series, features a group of young kids living on an island in the Pacific Northwest full of supernatural creatures. In this graphic novel, Kay must regain the trust of her friends as they band together to restore the balance of the moon crystals and save her aunt from being shipwrecked. A school library journal starred review for Hermit Hill, which came out in May 2022, states, Dee's expressive artwork includes the colorful landscapes and flora. Atmospheric, wordless pages pack a huge punch in this book's emotional communication. There are 4 more books scheduled in this series. In this partially illustrated early chapter book, 10-year-old non-binary Sly works to solve riddles and locate the spell that can save them, their grandmother, and a ghost girl from being stuck forever in an enchanted mirror. This is a lovely story about family and a child connecting with their grandmother during their parents' separation. Instead of being set on Halloween, Ghost Girl is set during Samhain, the Gaelic festival marking the end of the harvest. It starts on October 31st and ends on November 1st. Sly learns to problem solve and gains self-confidence and resilience. Previous books by this author include Star Eaters, which came out earlier this year, and Sulphur Heart. For primary students, we have the Meg and Greg series. Meg and Greg is a decodable phonics-based series of 4 books with 4 more slated to be published. That is high-low for students in grades 2 to 4 who are still learning the basics of reading. Each book has 4 short stories, with each story focusing on a different phonogram. The series was developed by an educator who specializes in teaching reading to students with reading difficulties, in particular for children with dyslexia. Published in our ultra-readable format, the books don't look like readers for little kids. They look like graphic novels or oversized chapter books. We've had many literacy teams and reading recovery teachers buying sets of these books to use in their schools. It has taken some time to get the word out, but these are exactly what teachers need right now, with the return to the focus on the science of reading. 2 middle grade titles for you, fiction. This first one, A Book of Screams, is another spine-tingling collection of scary short stories from Jeff Spearglass. It's a selection of creepy tales about everything from a modern-day vampire using hummingbirds as his minions to a t-shirt that squeezes your life away. Surrounded by an overarching story about a girl who discovers her favorite horror writer is using sentient ink to steal kids' nightmares. This is very much in the vein of Tales from the Crypt, R.L. Stine, and Stranger Things. Jeff Spearglass is a seasoned middle-grade horror writer who is also a teacher. He's also written Tales from Beyond the Brain, Tales from the Fringes of Fear, and Sharkbait. And from Second Story Press again, Obisan's Boots. This is a standalone middle-grade fiction about 2 cousins learning about their grandparents' experiences during the Japanese internment. A cousin comes with her mother to visit their grandmother and enjoys her relationship with the family and how much they love spending time together. There is also a part of the book about spending time with their grandmother, and most specifically, the power of this book is the grandmother telling the story of her life and what happened to her. Now I have a couple nonfiction titles for you. The 28th title in the Orca Footprint series, the series about social and environmental issues in kids' communities and around the world. Less is More looks at how to avoid waste in the first place, how to reduce how much you use, reuse what you can, and before you recycle or compost the rest. Small, simple actions that we can do to get tough on trash for a healthier planet. The author is a librarian who is passionate about sustainability. Previous titles in this series include Dig Deep, Too Much Trash, and Saving the Night. There are 6 more books scheduled. The 11th book in the Orca Science series, the Orca Think series, Open Science, this is the series which introduces kids to the issues making headlines in the world today, encouraging kids to question, connect, and take action for a better future. Science is for everyone, right? Until today, that wasn't always true. Discovery, research, and innovation were top secret and big business. Open Science is trying to change that. It's about sharing knowledge. Scientists around the world are working together to speed up scientific research and share results so everyone can benefit. This book introduces STEM concepts such as the scientific method, user innovation, citizen science, and how kids can get involved. Previous books in this series include Breaking News and Good Food, Bad Waste. There are 8 more scheduled. The 4th title in the Orca Timeline series, which examines how humans have navigated the world over time. Are We There Yet? Looks at the evolution of how humans have moved around the world, from relying on our built-in navigation systems to the development of maps and transportation to making use of technology like GPS. Humans have always had to figure out a way from point A to point B. At first, we didn't travel further than what was necessary to find food, water, and some form of shelter. This book looks at the evolution of transportation from animals to boats to public transit to space travel, and it includes curriculum connections with history, social studies, geography, and STEM. Previous titles in this series are Cities and Are We Having Fun Yet?, which came out earlier this year, and there are 6 more scheduled. The 11th title in the Orca Wild series, which challenges us to think about our relationships, both good and bad, with vulnerable species and habitats. Wild horses are legendary, but today their very existence is under threat. A symbol of freedom in the American West, what we thought we knew about their origins is up for debate. In Wild Horses, we'll meet the horses and discover the role young people are playing in protecting their populations. Learn about their biology, ecosystem, controversial history, and where in the world they exist. This author also wrote a previous Orca Wild title about elephant seals called Return from Extinction. Previous books in this series include grizzly bears, sharks forever, and salmon, and there are 6 more scheduled. And from Second Story Press, the 4th book in the Do You Know My Name middle grade nonfiction series. This series are collections of biographies from middle grade readers that profile activists from around the world who you may never have heard of before. The activists between the pages of this title have stood up for the queer community, whether on their own behalf or in support of the people they love. Some made a difference by confronting injustice, others dared to be fully themselves. This author has previously published a memoir called Any Kind of Luck at All, and these books include timelines, glossaries, and tables of contents. These books in this series look at small acts of bravery and kindness. Previous books in this series include Govern Like a Girl, She's a Mensch, and World Shakers. And a lead title from Orca is The Anti-Racist Kitchen. What if talking about racism was as easy as baking a cake? The Anti-Racist Kitchen features stories and recipes from 21 children's authors. It's about the power of sharing a meal with family, friends, and neighbors, and how that simple act can fight discrimination and bring us all together. Each chapter contains recipes and stories by new, emerging, and mid-list diverse children, middle grade, and young adult authors who have roots from around the world, as well as a glossary in the back. This book explores themes such as systemic racism, white fragility, cultural capital, and the interconnection of culture and food. The author was inspired by the Black Lives Matter events to write this book. This is the book she wishes she had as a kid, a solution-based approach to anti-racism through food and stories. It shows how sitting down and sharing a meal can be both a form of resistance and a celebration of the richness that diversity brings. And the last nonfiction title I have for you is More Than Words. This is from DCB Cormorant Books. It's an informative guide with illustrations to teach children how to communicate effectively and help them build confidence in communicating. It teaches about speaking, nonverbal communication, dealing with conflict, and how to listen properly. This is all very relevant for kids coming out of the pandemic. The contributors are very experienced middle grade writers and illustrators with over 100 books between the 3 of them. I started this presentation with a land acknowledgement, and now I'm going to dive into some of our forthcoming Indigenous titles. When Shay learns their dog Fluffy is sick, they feel angry and scared, but Fluffy offers a gentle reassurance, and Shay reflects on the love for her that they will hold forever in their heart, even when they say goodbye. This whimsical, heartfelt imagining of what happens when a pet dies is a caring introduction to the emotions of grief and loss. Shay is ages 4 to 7. They get older throughout the story and Indigenous. And the author, Tunchi Redvers, is a Deni Métis Two-Spirit writer, and Raza Nazari is a queer illustrator and writer of color. The first book in the new Coast Salish Tales series is Otter Doesn't Know. This series shares the art, culture, and language of the Hul'qumi'num speaking peoples, who are based in the Pacific Northwest. Using traditional oral storytelling techniques, artist and storyteller Andrea Fritsch connects young readers to the animals, lands, and waters of the Pacific Northwest. Thunky the salmon needs to spawn, but she doesn't know the way to Stallow the river. She asks Sea Otter Tumas for help, but he doesn't exactly know either, and he dismisses her requests. But when Tumas becomes lost in some weeds and can't get home, Thunky shows him that it's okay not to know something. You can still find a way to help a friend. There are 4 more titles scheduled in this series. The next one is coming out in April 2024. It's called Crow Helps a Friend. And 2 titles from Second Story Press. The first one is Nasha is an Artist. Nasha, or grandmother, says art is a language that everyone understands. Sometimes we make art together. We draw, we bead, we sing. And sometimes Nasha tells stories in Blackfoot, seen through the eyes of her grandchild looking at her grandmother, who accompanies the grandmother to an exhibit at the National Gallery. This is a celebration of art, artists, and Indigenous women artists in particular. Each page comes to life with bold patterns, shapes, and Nasha's encouraging words. This is the co-winner of Second Stories Press Indigenous Books Contest. What you see on screen is the dual language Blackfoot English edition. It is being published concurrently in English only. Auntie's Res Surprise is also a co-winner of Second Story Press's Indigenous Books Contest. And it is being published concurrently in Cree English dual language edition and English only as well. Auntie always greets Cree in Nahayu when she comes for a visit. When Auntie arrives with a surprise gift hidden in her bag, Cree can't wait to discover what it is. The first clue is from the Res. As Cree tries to figure out what it might be, the bag starts to move, and she's thrilled when the bag opens and out jumps a Res puppy. This book highlights the important role of aunties as both teachers and elders and fun figures in a child's life, and the love and historically important role of dogs in Indigenous life. Also demonstrates the joyful and valuable practice of learning an Indigenous language, in this case taught by her auntie. And there's also a conversation about the responsibilities of looking after a dog and the bond that one can form. The author is Lakota and Cree. And two teen titles from Portage and Main Press, based in Winnipeg. This is a press that does really authentic and high-quality Indigenous titles. The Girl Called Echo Omnibus edition is about a teenage Métis girl named Echo who develops a stronger sense of herself while experiencing key moments of Métis history. There's time travel back to the 1800s, and Echo also must grapple with loneliness and friendship and family struggles and healing in present time. She is better able to face her personal past while learning more about the distant past of her family who were part of the Métis resistance. This omnibus, written by Katerina Vermette, author of The Break, includes 4 books: Pemmican Wars, Red River Resistance, Northwest Resistance, and Road Allowance Era. And Hopeless in Hope is a teen fiction title. It's a touching story of intergenerational trauma, resilience, and overcoming. Eve and her brother are taken into care, Eve to a group home, and her younger brother Marcus to a foster home, when her Nokum, or grandma, breaks her hip and her mother cannot cope. This book looks at the ripple effects of the boarding school experience and illustrates the incredible importance of the right person showing up at the right time for a troubled kid. Portrays a lovely granddaughter-grandmother bond and provides insight into the foster system. By the end, the family is close to becoming reunited. And the last thing I'm going to show you today is Orca's High-Low. All of Orca's High-Low fiction are fiction that can be used for novel studies and learning elements of story, as well as reading for pleasure and building reading fluency. Orca High-Low books look like age-appropriate, at-level novels. Students don't feel like they are reading books for little kids. We often hear stories of life-changing experiences from teachers and principals when kids read for the first time a book through to the end by themselves. When young people are engaged in reading and attain higher literacy, it can correlate to success outside of school, which can lead to a better quality of life. And while we know that dyslexia is not necessarily a print issue, this more readable format supports readers with information processing challenges, as well as reluctant readers who might be intimidated by too much text. Orca Currents are short, high-interest novels with contemporary themes written specifically for middle grade students in grades 5 to 8, reading below grade level. The stories are pretty clean, don't have mature language or content, but the plots are very exciting, and sometimes the characters are in real danger. In Below the Surface, leveled at grades 3.0, 13-year-old Theo is a treasure hunter diving in the river in his town to find things that people have lost in the water. His mission is to always try to return the items to their rightful owners. When Theo finds an old pocket watch, he starts posting about it on his social media account, and through that he discovers that the watch is linked to a ghost, a murder, and that somebody doesn't want him to find out the answers. Big winner, leveled at grades 2.1, Sky has reluctantly moved across the country to a small town, and she isn't happy about it. When she gets hired at a local cafe, she can't help but start to like Digby. Everybody does. Digby is neurodivergent, lives in a group home in town, loves ping pong, knows everybody, and likes things done in a certain way. He confides that he has the winning lottery ticket that everyone in town has been talking about. Sky helps Digby keep his secret, but somebody else discovers it, and when word gets out, suddenly people from Digby's past resurface to try to take advantage of him. Sky and the tight-knit community protect Digby. Our newest series, Orca Anchor. They are books that are short, high-interest novels with contemporary themes written specifically for teens reading below at grade 2.0 level. Each book is fewer than 100 pages. And we have 8 books in the Orca Anchor series and are adding more every season. Countdown, leveled at grade 1.0, Golden Boy Miles is being blackmailed. He has it all. Popular, valedictorian, full athletic scholarship. The night before graduation, he receives a text from an unknown number that could change his life forever. He has to discover the identity of the person threatening to reveal his darkest secret, his role in a rugby team hazing. Also in the Orca Anchor series, leveled at grade 1.5, Aftershock. After a massive earthquake hits, Amy finds herself alone with Mara, a half-sister she hardly knows. Together, they set out on a perilous journey from their suburb into the city to search for their parents. In Careful What You Wish For, leveled at grades 1.9, a lonely teen discovers a website that grants wishes. At first, Ashana is thrilled, but soon things start to go horribly wrong. And Dark Tide, leveled at grades 2.0. Kai is angry when he's forced to join his new stepfather, a marine biologist, on a research trip to a remote bay in the Pacific Northwest. When they discover an ancient predator from the depths of the ocean, they must put aside their differences to stop the creatures before the tide turns. Orca Soundings are also high-low novels written specifically for teens with a higher grade range, grades 2.0 to 4.5. Some of these stories do have mature language, situations, and relationships. Murder at the Hotel Hopeless, leveled at grades 3.0, Charlie is spending the summer helping his mother run the family hotel. His only company are Penny, a spoiled child actor who is the star of the hit TV series Little Miss Murder, being shot in town, and Mr. Ignato, an elderly resident at the hotel who plays chess with Charlie twice a week. When Mr. Ignato dies from a fall down the stairs, Charlie suspects foul play and discovers that Mr. Ignato was once a world-famous international jewel thief, best known for stealing $1 million diamond. Racing Hearts, leveled at grades 1.7, is a romance. Sienna, an awkward plus-size 16-year-old, decides to participate in a triathlon in honor of her best friend who died 5 months ago. As she trains, she falls for a mysterious jock with a secret. And lastly, Airlock, leveled at grades 3.0. When a warrant is put out for their arrest, Brick, a young non-binary thief with a terrible fear of space, is forced to escape a barren Earth. When the spaceship they are hiding on is overtaken by pirates, Brick and their new friend Amar and a helpful AI must save the crew. But to do it, Brick must go out into the deep darkness of space. And lastly, just a quick snapshot at the difference in layouts between Orca Anchors and Orca Soundings, our 2 teen high-low series. And we do have 6 high-low series, 3 of which we're currently publishing into Currents, Soundings, and Anchors, and Rapid Reads, which have adult themes, and 2 thematic series, Sports and Limelights. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I'm always happy to receive feedback or questions.